Hey, welcome into the Husker247 Daily podcast, video cast, YouTube cast, some kind of cast. I'm Mike Schaefer, joined by Michael Bruntz. It's a bye week, and we thought 1/3 of the way in, good time to assess a few things. And we'll start with Nebraska's quarterback, Dylan Raiola. Bruntz, I am curious, do you feel like you can tell there's been a jump in his game through just 4 games so far this season? Obviously, two very different opponents in Cincinnati and Michigan than Akron and Houston Christian. But frankly, I mean, I would dare say he's played pretty well throughout, with the exception of maybe a pass here or there, and then certainly had to handle the siege that Michigan brought to the field on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have said at the start of the season, 4 games into this thing, he's going to be completing 75% of his passes. The touchdown to interception is going to be 11-1, and he's thrown for over 1,000 yards. I mean, you would have taken that in a heartbeat, right? Like, and I'm aware of the conversation that's out there about how he played against Michigan, and
Which
I
I thought
don't.
was pretty good, considering that,
Yeah, I
a
don't.
lesser quarterback wouldn't have thrown for 300 yards or been sacked more than 7 times. But
Right.
that's just me.
I don't
That's
buy
where
the
I am.
narrative. He played well. Could he have thrown the ball away on a couple of those? Certainly. But he's done a really nice job, I think, of keeping Nebraska on schedule offensively. Like we've talked about the pre-snap stuff that he does so well. I think that's been a really important part of kind of his growth, and that doesn't show up in a stats column, but the numbers are good. I mean, I think you would take him. I think a number of programs would take him over what their current quarterback situation is, especially the quarterbacks that were listed ahead of him to start the year. And there were many by national pundits. So I think he's played really well. I mean, is there still another level for him to go to? Probably. Like I think some of the bigger downfield throws I think are still there, but I mean you're seeing him I think throw with a little bit more confidence. Tell me if I'm wrong, but that first touchdown pass to Ja'Cory Barney, I don't know that he throws that last year. Like it feels like the way that play kind of unfolded with basically a guy in his face, kind of putting his face right in the fan, and delivering that strike. I don't know that that's a throw that he makes confidently a year ago.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. What I'm trying to decide, because if I remember that play correctly, a lot of it had to do with kind of a bust on the back end from Michigan. So I wonder if it's sort of the confidence of, okay, I know where Ja'Cory Barney is going to be on the field. I know that Michigan defender is out of position. This guy's bearing down on me. If I put this ball in this general spot, we're coming away with 6 here. I do wonder if like that's the sort of equation that's going on in his brain, because he's now played 17 games and he has a good feel for things with Ja'Cory Barney. And some of it is just preparation, right? Like if you're scanning the field pre-snap and you have an idea of where you think the safety is going to be and he's not there, and you don't believe anyone else has taken over that space of the field, in theory, that should be a green light throw. And I think that throws like that we're going to see just become more and more common for him. Yeah, that's an interesting thought on your end of it. I hadn't considered that with that throw. It did feel like at times last year, especially early, he would be a little bit hesitant to put a ball into that sort of a window, but it is it's probably part of the growth and maturation. What I think is a combination with this, and this isn't like any kind of hot take here, but Nebraska's wide receivers just being better, and I think through 4 games, I feel comfortable saying that,
Mm-hmm.
allows him to have more confidence in maybe putting the ball in places that last year he wasn't as confident letting it rip. I do think like that's a big thing with Dylan. There's times where it feels like he's really mechanical and he's trying to place it. And there's other times where he's just back there and he's letting his natural talent take over. And I feel like you can sort of tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think the Illinois game last year had some kind of like downstream effects for him as the year kind of went on. I felt like, I mean,
You
part
talking
of it
about
was,
the ankle injury that he played through
Yeah,
after that, or the
there was, but I think there was also like a confidence thing. Like it
yeah.
just felt like there was less willingness to kind of let it rip and let his guys go up and make plays. Because I agree. I think this current group of Nebraska receivers are better poised to just go up and win 50-50 balls than last year's group, where we saw several times last year where a catch needed to be made and it just wasn't. And I think
And
this
the ball
group,
just got taken away by wide receivers or
right?
by defensive backs from
Yeah,
Nebraska's wide
yeah.
receivers.
So I think that's been a change that's worked in his favor. He could be helped by more of a running game. That would help him a ton. Certainly, the pass protection piece needs to get better at the tackle spots. But I mean, I don't know that you could have really asked for too much more from him this year so far. Did Michigan expose anything in what Nebraska's offense can and can't do? Maybe so. I mean, I think he's going to see a lot more pressure. But even the pressure numbers, the PFF stuff, you take them for what they are. His numbers under pressure were okay. Like I think it was 9 to 17, but the yardage was still there. So I'm getting all emotional about it. But I do think that that's going to be something that he's going to have to deal with more. And Nebraska's going to have to figure out a way to help him out in that regard.
I think one of the things that Husker 24/7 Daily has shown people is that you and BC especially just get kind of choked up when you talk about Nebraska
Yeah,
football.
you get us
I
early in the
think
morning
you're
talking about football, and man, we just get all verklempt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is interesting because the one thing I sort of welcome teams blitzing Dylan more because I think if he can recognize stuff pre-snap, I think he's a smart enough processor that he's going to be able to put the ball from the space that teams are vacating. And so you realize like at the high level of football, like the best NFL quarterbacks are usually the ones that are the most resistance to blitz because they can just take advantage of you vacating space on the field. The thing that made Michigan so dangerous, and you hope that not a whole lot of other teams can replicate, is that if they can get pressure with just four,
right, or
then there's
three,
seven guys just like waiting around, like
right?
swimming in a shark tank, just waiting for the chum to be thrown into the water. So,
Mhm.
I think that's kind of the big thing. I'm just fascinated what Nebraska's solution is going to be for pass protection kind of moving forward. I don't think you're going to get the same looks out of Michigan State and Maryland and Minnesota, but there's still going to be some pressure. Your tackles are still going to have to hold up. And I know we talked about this a little bit on the big podcast yesterday, but what Nebraska does at tackle to help Dylan Raiola in the passing game feels like a big, big part of the next 8 games of the season.
Well, and I mean, the conversation about running back, like the pass protection piece of it also has to factor there, right? Like when you're dealing with young or inexperienced running backs, usually the pass protection part of it is like the last thing to come along. And even Emmett Johnson, I don't think he had a great day in protection
Yeah, that
against
was put on
Minnesota.
our message board, and I don't look at the PFF stuff the way that you and Brian do, but
Yeah.
if that's true that his PFF grade related specifically to pass blocking was as low as it was, it's something I didn't notice in the run of play on Saturday. Did you? I can't say that I noticed much with it, but that might speak to the fact that he wasn't doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
I was too busy just watching Dylan Raiola run for his life.
Well, and that's the part of it that Dylan's actually been good at. I think is aligning the pressure with the running backs and or the blocking with the running backs. So I mean, we'll see if that changes. But I mean, that's when you're talking about Mekhi Nelson or Quentin Ives or whomever. I mean, I think that's got to also be part of the conversation. Is like who can you trust to stand in there and give him a little extra time too.
Any part of you surprised by the double-digit touchdown numbers already here through 4 games? I mean, if you're prorating that out and Dylan Raiola is throwing 33 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, that's the best passing season of all time for Nebraska, both statistically and just like it's
Yeah.
unimaginable to me to think about something like that being what happens. Now, obviously, there's more opponents like Michigan on the schedule, but they still threw for 308 yards in that game and 3 touchdowns. So it's even against the best opponents, it still feels like Nebraska's passing game can be pretty good.
Well, it was what 13-11 last year. I mean,
Mhm.
in preseason we talked all the time about how the gap between those numbers needed to be wider this year, and so far it has been. So, I mean, that's a positive trend. I think he's doing a nice job being risk averse, but also still being willing to throw it downfield. I think that's the difference from last year too. Is that I think he's just more willing to go in that kind of intermediate range than he was last season. So we'll see if he can keep that up. But I mean, 11-1 through 4 games. There's a lot of teams that would take that, and that's one of the reasons why Nebraska is actually trending pretty well in turnover margin, in spite of the fact that they really haven't taken the ball away that much.
Yeah, that'll be a conversation for another day. And if you want more great Husker football conversations or just Husker football content, get over to Husker247.com. We have everything you could want, from coverage of the Michigan game, coverage through the bye week, coverage of the recruiting, the recruits that were on the field there, everything. We got basketball even, Brunts might even mix in a little fall baseball coverage here as we get into October. So all of that can be found at Husker247.com. For Michael Brunts, I'm Mike Shaver. We're Husker 24/7. We'll catch you next time here at Husker 24/7 Daily.